child has been kidnapped 5 days ago in northeastern Tibet.
Well, Tibet's a little bit out of my territory.
This child is special, Mr. Jarrell.
It's 1986, and Eddie Murphy is the biggest star on the planet. He can make any film he wants, anything, and he picks a Tibetan fantasy movie about a magic child and a demon called Sardo Numspa. And it makes 79 million. So, this is the story of the weirdest hit of the 1980s. I'm Matt, and I've been in the movie and entertainment industry for over 35 years, and I've seen it all, and I've definitely seen a lot of strange career choices. But The Golden Child might be the strangest one that actually worked. So, if you're into essential cinema from the Golden Age, subscribe and hit the bell because we're doing this every week. Now, let's get into it. To understand why The Golden Child is so strange, you need to understand where Eddie Murphy was in '96, and the answer is everywhere.
Please welcome Eddie Murphy. Nice to see you. Thank you very much.
He comes off Saturday Night Live, where he basically saved that show from cancellation. He does 48 Hours with Nick Nolte in 1982 and basically invents an entire genre. And we'll get to that one in a few weeks' time. Then, Beverly Hills Cop in 1984, which does 234 million and becomes the highest grossing comedy of the decade. And he's just 23 years old. By 1986, every studio in Hollywood is throwing scripts at the man. He can do absolutely anything he wants. He's not just a comedian anymore. He is a movie star. The kind they just don't make anymore. The kind where your name alone puts bums on seats. And here's the thing that people forget. He was not safe. Eddie Murphy in the 1980s or the mid 80s was dangerous. He was raw. He did the Delirious and Raw specials.
The Ice Cream Man is coming! The Ice Cream Man is coming! Ma!
This was a guy who took risks. So when Paramount hands him a script about a social worker from Los Angeles who has to rescue a mystical child from a Tibetan demon, he says yes. And nobody blinks because it's Eddie Murphy. And in 1986, that's enough.
Well, I don't think I can accept a proposal this early in the season.
But here is what nobody talks about. The script he said yes to, that was not the film they made. The Golden Child started life as a straight action horror. No comedy. Think more along the lines of an Indiana Jones meets The Exorcist kind of thing. Dark, serious, mystical. The original screenplay by Dennis Feldman was a genuine supernatural thriller. Then Eddie Murphy signs on and everything changes. Because you don't hire Eddie Murphy and then ask him not to be Eddie Murphy. So the script gets rewritten and rewritten again. The comedy comes in, the wisecracking comes in. But here is what makes the film genuinely strange. They did not take any of the supernatural stuff out. They kept it, all of it. So you've got this bizarre hybrid where 1 minute Eddie is doing his thing, cracking jokes, being street smart, doing the laugh, and the next minute there's genuine mysticism. Chanting monks, sacred daggers, a child with actual powers, and a villain. Let's talk about the villain. Charles Dance as Sardo Numspa. Now, most people know Charles Dance from Game of Thrones these days, Tywin Lannister. But in 1986, he walks into this Eddie Murphy comedy and plays it completely straight.
You've no idea who I am, have you?
Yes, you're Sardo Numspa.
Dead serious, not a hint of camp. And that is what makes it work, because if Dance had played it for laughs, the whole thing would have collapsed. He is the anchor. He is the reason the supernatural side of this film has any weight at all.
I could destroy you, just like that.
And then you've got the practical effects. This is 1986, so everything is in camera. The demon transformation, the cave sequences, the dagger trial. This is pre-CGI craftsmanship, and it holds up better than it has any right to. Now, the director is Michael Ritchie, and here's another layer of strangeness. Ritchie is a sports comedy guy. He did The Bad News Bears. He did Fletch with Chevy Chase. He is not a fantasy director. He is not a horror director. He's a guy who knows how to point a camera at a funny person and let them be funny. And Paramount said, yes, you are the man to direct a Tibetan supernatural adventure. The whole production is a collision of things that should not go together, and somehow, against all logic, it connects. Now, if you're enjoying this deep dive, do me a favour, drop a comment and tell me where you first saw The Golden Child. I want to know where you were, how old you were, and whether you thought it was brilliant or bonkers. Now, both answers are correct, so let me know below. Now, The Golden Child opens December 86 and does 79.8 million domestic. That, at that time, is a hit by any measure. Audiences showed up because it said Eddie Murphy on the poster. And that was the deal in the 80s. His name was the trailer. But here is the part that matters for what comes next. The Golden Child works because of Eddie Murphy, not because of the script, not because of the direction, not because of the genre. It works because Eddie is so magnetic, so watchable, so naturally funny. He can stand in the middle of a Tibetan cave holding a sacred dagger and you're still entertained. He's carrying the film on pure charisma.
Well, how many people have survived this test? None. None. None.
And that becomes the lesson Hollywood takes from this. The lesson Eddie takes from this. The lesson is, it doesn't matter what the film is, if Eddie is in it, people are coming. And for a while, that is true. Beverly Hills Cop 2 came the next year, coming to America 88, another 48 hours in 1990. The machine kept rolling. But the line from The Golden Child to the films that eventually stalled his career, that line is direct. Because The Golden Child is the moment when everyone, Eddie included, learns that he can get away with anything. And getting away with it is not a long-term strategy. So, The Golden Child is the fork in the road. One path leads to Trading Places, to Coming to America, the films where Eddie is challenged by the material. The other path leads to The Adventures of Pluto Nash. And standing at that fork, in December 1986, nobody could see which way it would go. And this is what makes it fascinating. Not that it's a great film, because it isn't a great film. It's a weird film. But it's genuinely an important one if you want to understand what happened to the biggest comedy star of the 80s. Now, I remember going to the cinema to see The Golden Child, and it was marketed as a comedy. Never horror, never fantasy, which tells you everything people thought about it. It was an Eddie Murphy film first, and everything else second. Now, people were coming out and they were genuinely confused, not in a bad way, in the way that, you know, you're like young, 15, whatever, and you're watching something and it doesn't fit into a box, you know. It was funny, but it was also dark. It was silly, was also in places genuinely unsettling. And Eddie was different in it. Quieter in spots, more reactive, not always the loudest person in the room. So, looking back, you've got to think of what you respond to most. The version of Eddie Murphy who was willing to be the straight man to a demon. The version who was not afraid to stand in a cave and play it serious for 30 seconds before cracking a joke. That was the Eddie who could have gone anywhere. So soon, we're going to go back to where it all started, 48 Hours, the film that invented the body cut movie. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss that one when it pops up. Now, if you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit like, leave a comment, and I'll see you at our very own video store. Essential Cinema, always.